Good afternoon, everyone. Starting with the good news, at least the ocean freight hasn't doubled in price for delivery. Brazil dropping 17 million tons down to 60. That's about 25% of its production. Soybeans up 62% since last year. Corn up 60% since last year. Loch Ness Monster on the canola prices. Wheat futures up and up as China imports 4.5x increase from last year. If you haven't been preparing and getting ready for these changes, perhaps you want to wake up on a different side of the bed and look at reality in a different way. Investors could still see some of the strongest price action in gold this year, according to Wells Fargo, which sees signs of a developing rally. Money managers believe we could see inflation reach new levels that we have not seen since the Jimmy Carter era. For centuries, investors around the globe have turned to gold in times of economic uncertainty. Gold supplies have flipped from excessive to deficient, and such times in the past have sparked some of gold's strongest price rallies, unquote. Patriot Gold Group has the No Fee for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold and silver, and you may be eligible for the No Fee for Life IRA. So go ahead and give the folks at Patriot Gold Group a call to discuss physical gold and silver. And the knowledge that Patriot Gold Group is Consumer Affairs' top-rated gold IRA dealer 5 years in a row from 2016 until present. Click the link in the description box below for more information. And now on with the video. Beautiful, abundant harvests. Somewhere in the planet there's going to be a microclimate that's just pumping on the absolute maximum yields. But as we swing over into the wheat harvest right now, Mother Nature, could you please dry out Oklahoma so we can at least get 30 days to harvest the wheat? Never-ending rains. Delay on the wheat harvest, USA. Now moving to the next chart here, just wanted to run down the types of wheat, and I know a lot of you have asked me, you keep talking about wheat, well, what do you mean? What kind of wheat? Hard red winter wheat, which is a lot of what we make breads with. You got the soft red winter wheat. A lot of people prefer that if you're going to get into the specialty type baking goods. The hard red spring, durum of course, focused mainly on pastas, the hard white and the soft white. So you get a gauge of the different types of wheat as we move into this next chart here. The export region would be Great Lakes or the Gulf of Mexico. I already put the yellow box there where you're going to want to focus your attention. 1 year ago, price per metric ton, FOB, compared to June of this year. Let me see, last year was $226 a metric ton. This year, $327. I'm trying to think, what are the percentages of here? The hard red winter wheat, durum wheat. Okay, wherever you look, up and up. I don't see any one of those. None that decreased in price. So moving on to the wheat futures settlement prices, seem to be a spike up and up, and a trajectory is going to continue forward up, which means everybody's food up. And by this point, it should be a major news story, talking point that we need to start finding solutions for something like this, as everybody's prices are rising to the point of societal unrest is going to follow not too distant in the future if prices double from here. 42% increase, bushel of wheat, 60 pounds. 42% increase, okay. It's only one product, right? It's just wheat. I don't eat that much bread. Corn, 56 pounds on the bushel in this one. Up 60%. And you'll say, well, I only eat millet and sorghum. Great. Maybe you'll jump into the soy too. Not sure. That's up 62%. So everywhere you're looking, prices keep climbing. And the response I get when I talk about food price increases usually is, well, there's other nations that'll take up the slack if America can't provide. And if Canada starts to have difficulty producing, there's going to be all these other countries that are going to be just the savior super producers. Got the big S across the wheat production. Brazil always being touted as, well, if America can't grow it and Canada can't grow it, Brazil's going to be plenty enough, and so is Australia. So let's look at Brazil for a second. Definitely 5-year lows, going way lower than this due to the massive mega drought. 100-year drought in Brazil, slashing 17 million tons. That is a quarter of the production, and it's still not even tallied yet, so it could decrease further. And as we keep seeing across business story after business story, China importing massive amounts of grain due to the massive floods from last year, but then this year they're already in incredible floods, surpassing last year's floods. So let's just use what's happening right now. You got the delivery 2019, 2020, blue and green, and then we're going to go one chart over there just to the right of that where it says change from last year. Second down, China. Is that a 4.5x increase in the amount of grain? Wow. What's happening over there that they would go to that level of increase? Doubling, it would be a wow factor, but a 4.5x means there's a significant problem happening. And if we look over at canola, Loch Ness Monster on the right there, highest ever. I put in the 25-year chart so you could see, even in the 2009 super cycle, still well above that. And almost every grain is going to be going above the highest prices ever and just a few more ticks up. So staying on trading economics, I was able to get down to the livestock section there. And what's the greenest of the green at the bottom? Lean hogs, up 70%. Okay, pork. Let's just say, and be generous, poultry, okay, it's up almost 18%. Beef's up 10%. How many things that you buy in your life can continually go up 10%, 70%, 60%, 40% before it adds up into a major amount of money coming out of your pocket to stay even with the food you eat? This was in effect of the grand solar minimum through prior iterations every 400 years back in the last 4,000. Societies couldn't handle the price increases for the food. People asked for change. They didn't get it. And they said, government can't give it to us. Time to change that. So looking at the ocean freight rate indices, good news, it didn't double yet, but getting very close. From 375 to 525, probably give it another couple weeks due to Kaohsiung having some problems and closures in its ports. Amazingly, massive shipwreck right at the entrance of the harbor into the rest of the docks there, unloading areas. Interesting how it was right there at the front mouth of the harbor where all the traffic goes back and forth, and now they need to close that for a little while to bring the cranes up, get the containers off, and reset everything. Those are the biggest container unloading port area that they had in the entire harbor. Speaking of that, Handymax freight estimates. Oh, that's nearly double too. Sorry, 20 to 40. That's coming out of Japan, though. 10 to 24, that's Mexico. Yeah, more than double. All right, you see where it's going on the smaller vessels. Now, what I found interesting also on worldgrain.com was Burma's wheat consumption drops. Now, I had talked about this during this whole COVID thing about shutting down all the venues where a lot of food waste occurred. You know, anything with schools, hotels, hospitality, conferences, airlines, cruise ships. Like the amount of food that's thrown away is just stupendous. So if you were to cut off all these venues, people would cook at home. You'd have an enormous amount of food savings. So if there were shortages coming in and price increases, you could stave that off of people noticing it for just a little bit longer. Because if we continued the way we did, there would be a huge amount of food waste and prices would be way higher than they are now. Case in point, Burma's wheat consumption dropping, and then what was it attributed to? Closure of bakeries, restaurants, coffee shops that provide wheat-based food products. Well, if you look at the food and bev industry across the world, it provided the same exact things. Cut that off, stop the waste, cook at home. You save the leftovers, there's way more food. Prices don't appear to rise as quickly. I do want to point this out here. As people I talk with, either close to me or just acquaintances or online, just chatting back and forth, I get a large percentage that do believe the same. They're stuck in the mind frame that everything's coming back to normal. We're out of this. We're out of the woods. Everything's going to return. And food production is going to increase. And what I'm talking about with decreases in crop production due to moving jet streams, cooler weather, shortened grow seasons is a thing of the past. That just get on with my life and keep going because everything's coming back to normal. And, you know, that's a great thing with normalcy bias. And if you can't deal with the facts of the world has changed, it's not going back, fine. If you're at the point now where you think you don't need to stock up after living through 2020, seeing the power outages, the supply chains breaking down, the runaway inflation, the unavailability of goods across the planet, and XYZ factories shutting down because they can't get parts and bits, trinkets, and junk to keep selling to everybody. If you aren't seeing that right now, and you didn't even get any preparation ready at all, it is what it is. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. You are going to need storable foods. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030, 2-week or the 4-week, 1 month and 6 month emergency food supplies. You have this. You can weather some of the storm. You can wait out a lot of events until it's safer to go out, go to stores, move about your life to get more supplies. The link's in the description box below. I do thank you for watching the video and hope you can share this with some of your relatives so they actually start taking action too. And I'll see you next time.